All right, so moving on, we'll move on to Pistons. And as you can see, we are both ironically wearing Pistons gear after that terrible Lions loss. Neither one of us want to rep the Lions anytime right now. We're both still fans. We'll always be fans. I unfortunately have them tattooed on my chest, so I'm kind of forced to be. Disregarding that, we are going to move on to the Pistons a little bit, and they have been making a lot of moves. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they are the most active team in free agency right now. I can't name another team. I know the Lakers have kind of been making a lot of moves.
I was going to say, this free agency, a lot of teams have been making moves, trades, signing players. Like, this has been one of the most, I would say, roster moves in an offseason,
Yeah,
it feels like.
It's been really aggressive out there for these NBA GMs. They've been moving players left and right, moving contracts left and right, doing three-way trades. But yeah, so we've already covered the draft. If you want to see our thoughts on some of the players we picked, you can look at our last episode. We kind of went center signing crazy. We signed Mason Plumlee first, then we signed Jahlil Okafor, then we also traded for Dwayne Dedman. Yeah, we have quite a few big men on the team. We also signed
the Mason Plumlee deal was a 3-year, $25 million deal. He's 30. He averaged 7.2 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 2.5 assists in 17 minutes for Denver last season. And then Jahlil Okafor was a 2-year for the veteran minimum, and he's 24 years old with some upside. He averaged 8.1 points and 4.2 rebounds per game for the New Orleans Pelicans, and he was obviously the 3rd overall pick in 2015. He was supposed to be an all-star and didn't pan out to do that.
Yeah, so he's still really young. He still has a lot of talent. And then someone else we signed was forward Josh Jackson, who, just like Jahlil Okafor, was the number 4 overall pick back in 2017. And again, he just kind of hasn't panned out yet. Again, these are guys with a lot of potential who are still really young, and they still have time to develop. Again, we know Dwayne Casey is a really good coach at that. He's really good at developing players and getting the most out of them. So maybe he can actually get their potential and get that all-star level of play out of them.
And I love this signing. I loved seeing Josh Jackson coming out of the draft and everything. I really wanted us to draft him. Obviously, we didn't. He went to, I think, the Suns, I believe, was the team that drafted him. And I wanted him so bad, and obviously he hasn't done as well as he was supposed to and everything. I mean, he did average 9 points per game on 44% shooting last season for the Grizzlies. So I'll take that 44% from shooting. That's something Detroit need, obviously, which you got to think all these players were kind of role players that weren't playing a lot for the teams that they were on. So obviously they're going to average less on those teams than per se us that are rebuilding and trying to change the picture of our franchise, of trying to get out of that mediocrity, rebuild, and move on to winning another championship. So I love the signing. It's just a great player, a great fit for our team, the way Troy Weaver's doing it. Hopefully he does great.
And then another, probably the biggest signing so far, was Jeremiah Grant. He's a forward, and he was probably the biggest name that we've signed so far back in the Nuggets. Yep, he used to play for.
Oh, yes. And I extremely love this signing.
Yeah.
I am so excited about this signing.
Yeah.
He got offered the same exact deal that we offered him from Denver.
But he wanted a bigger offensive role on the end.
And that's what we were giving him than Denver. So the contract is a 3-year, $60 million deal. That's quite a lot for a player of his caliber.
He also was shooting 47.8% altogether, so that's a huge
thing. 38.9 from behind the arc, so 3-pointers. So
yeah, that's something we really need here.
And he's 26 years old, and he averaged 12 points for the Nuggets last season. And also, a thing to point out is I saw this on Twitter that in the regular season, the Grant Plumlee duo had a negative 5.5 net rating in 752 minutes on the year. So that signing Plumlee and Grant, it was working for Denver, so why not bring them both to Detroit and let that help us? obviously, as you all know, Blake Griffin is still a part of the team.
Mhm.
As of right now, nothing has been done with him. So obviously, I'm guessing he's going to be our starting 4 at the start of the season, or he moves into that backup role and comes off the bench with his injury history, and then maybe like towards the season, if maybe we make playoffs or something, maybe he gets inserted back into the starting role, or like,
I don't know. I have 2 theories. I have one, which is one again that you and me talked about earlier today, is that we could just be going small ball. We could be trying to put Blake at the 5, Grant at the 4, and then I don't even know who we can.
but then that doesn't make sense for all the centers that we sign.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So that's like, I don't know how this is going to work.
So my other thing is that we could just use Blake and have him start for the season and see how he's doing, and if he can stay healthy, if he's still playing at an all-star level, and if he's not, then try to trade him off and get some trade assets or just some younger players, something like that. That might be the other option to start the season.
And also in the signing Jeremiah Grant, it was a sign and trade Denver because they had the rights on him. So we gave them cash for him, and we also received the rights to Nikola Redovic. I probably said his name wrong, but I love that signing. I honestly, I don't know, maybe we put him at our starting 3. I mean, he is a bigger player, so I don't see that happening, but maybe that's what Detroit wants to do. All these teams are going small ball, so maybe they're like, hey, let's go big ball. Let's make these teams try to stop us, because I mean, obviously teams are going a lot more small ball and not having like centers, having power forwards playing. Obviously, like Houston had PJ Tucker as their center all season, so like maybe the Pistons are like, let's go big ball and make these teams play all their big men to try to stop us. Who knows?
But then a couple other trades they made. We traded for Delon Wright. They also traded for Zhaire Smith, who is still only 21 years old. He was a 16th overall pick in 2018. Again, this hasn't really panned out. So we're just bringing in all these kind of former top 5, top 10 picks, hoping that they can pan out. And then we also signed Anthony Lamb as well,
which he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
But Zhaire Smith, Dwayne Dedmon are probably just going to be waived, and their contracts are going to be stretched.
Yeah.
And we're going to be paying them for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Zhaire Smith, because honestly, I wouldn't mind keeping him on the team to see if maybe he can develop into something under Dwayne Casey. But obviously Troy Weaver has his vision and what he wants to do, and he's going to do that. We traded for Zhaire Smith. We traded Tony Bradley for him. So, I mean, obviously we got rid of one of our centers that we had like 10 of. But getting back to the Anthony Lamb, I know probably a lot of you are like, who? So he played 4 seasons at Vermont, averaging 16.4 points and 6.5 rebounds per game. He shoots 33.6% from 3 and 47.6 overall during his college career. And I think he and somebody else are going to be fighting for the last 2-way spot on our roster. So he could not even end up making the team or be a G League candidate. So all that is up for grabs. But yes, so waiving and stretching right now are considered to be Dwayne Dedmon, Rudy Magruder, and then Zhaire Smith. I know I'm not 100% and I'm saying names correctly. That is who he's thinking about doing it to. Obviously, none of them have actually been. He might be trying to work out some more trades to try to get rid of them.
That's the biggest thing. There's still a lot of moves to be made, and I'm sure a lot of these players won't even be on the roster. I'd like to try and do a kind of a figure out the roster and who's first and second string, but again, we're still not sure. There's still a lot of moves that are going to be made going back and forth, and I'm sure a lot of these players might not even be on the roster start at the start of the season. So we'll still see. Again, a lot of moves are going to be made.
Troy Weaver is out here wheeling and dealing. Honestly, I've never seen a GM come into a team and make this many moves in his first offseason. Like, normally they come in and kind of do like here and there, but no, he came in and he just said, bye, everybody. I want my own team. I was going to say Blake Griffin is the longest 10-year player on the Detroit Pistons right now.
Yeah, I know. We need to get new GM, again, for the Lions, who's going to do the same exact thing. Just come in, clear house, clear everyone, get trade assets, get draft value, and build the team up the way it's supposed to be. So
I'm excited to see how this team turns out and like how like everyone fits. Like, honestly, like he was saying, like I think we might have to do an episode trying to figure out who's going to be where for this roster, because I feel like every position's up for grabs, honestly.
Yeah, point guard, center, power forward. Again, we have no idea who's starting at anything, whether they're going to go with the veterans at starting or start with the young guys. I'm assuming they'd start with the veterans and try to ease the rookies into the starting role, but we'll have to see.
Oh, also, the Detroit Pistons re-announced the rights on Thon Maker, Langston Galloway, Jordan Bone.
Yep, so we're just going to be letting all of them walk.
Yep. So we don't have bird rights on them or anything, and they're free agent.
So yeah, again, like you said, Blake Griffin's now the longest tenured Piston, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does the rest of this offseason. We've only got, today is the 24th, so we've got about a month, a little bit less than a month until the start of the season. So we'll have to wait and see what he does.